one more. Okay.
And so everything that's produced, we date it. So we can reflect back on the mix designs for that day if there's any issues. So this is something as a skater, you skate, right? You'll like this. You can see we've cast in a stainless steel tubing that will actually extrude outside the concrete, and so you can see this bench is being poured on its side. So we'll stand it up, and there's 3 of them in a row, so you can grind up and down on the stainless steel. So this is like a climbing tube.
What up, man?
Yeah, I don't know I'm gonna fit through that. But this is a level platform we use for casting, so that, because when you're pouring big heavy pieces, you got to start with a very level platform, and so that you end up with a level flat product.
These are clips.
These are clips. These are upside down twist benches. So we pour through this side, and then we flip them over. And they'll get, different. The neat thing about his stuff is so this plane will be acid etched, this plane will get polished.
I remember
and
there was different edges per.
Yeah, he's playing with different textures. It definitely, it's not hard, it requires more labor. So this is where we pour everything. And we use these overhead 2-ton cranes to not only bring the concrete to the molds, but to also flip the product over when we're stripping. Everything that is poured upside down typically. And so this is a pretty complicated wood mold. And the key thing is reinforcement. If this mold, there's so much weight going in the mold, if it's not reinforced, you're gonna end up with walls that are bowed, mold might come apart. So we use these big pieces of timber to support. I mean, there's a lot of support in that. Here you can see the rebar cage. That's a simple countertop. All the fiberglass molds would be standard products, and we can get thousands of pours out of those. Where a wood mold like this, you might get 25 to 30 pours. So here they're bringing in the hopper. This is another one of those twist benches. So now they'll bring the crane over. Yeah. So they'll pick up the hopper, bring it over. And so we've got places to pour through. So you can see the rebar cage in there. It took probably a whole hopper to get to this point. Now they're gonna finish it off. And the vibration is what's super key. The vibration to get the air to come out the best as possible, to get the concrete to flow. Because typically you'll start on one side, you'll pour to a certain level, and then you'll come over to the other side and finish over here. We got guys coming at 3 o'clock in the morning. They'll strip it out and set it up and report the next day. No, 3 o'clock in the morning tomorrow.
Tomorrow. Okay,
they'll strip it out.
24-hour.
Yeah, it's a 24-hour turnaround for most products. And the rebar guys, really do a nice job, and you can see how much steel goes into one bench. Now, these are going to Texas Stadium, or not Texas. Well, it's in Arlington where the Rangers play. I always like to talk about our environmental aspects. So we recycle all our water. So it's a closed loop system. So what this is a filter press. So we're pumping water out of the pit. Dirty water goes into here, gets cleaned of the concrete, and then we send it into these tanks where it's treated and refiltered, and then we use it again. So this is all product waiting to be processed. So here's an example of the polished finish. you know, here's an example of where we acid etch this part of the product and then polish this part of the product. These are little stools. People would sit on this part. We also will do grinding in there because we want to keep the free silica.
Yeah.
There's big ventilation.
Yeah.
Sucks it all up. Those are kernels. We call them the kernel. Comes in 2 different sizes, and they're just little seating stools. These are all our aggregates. So the nice thing about these aggregates actually come from these mountains over here, within 5 miles. So it's really cool to be able to use such you know, the local resources the way we do. And so we'd use, this is our typical pea gravel. We also have a white pea gravel. Then we have a white sand over there, and then we have a, so they're gonna use this sand when we're sacking, we need a little bit finer sand, but we wanna use the same sand that's in the product. And so he's taking all the large fines out that work well when we're casting the product, but when we're doing repair work, patching, filling in air pockets and things like that, we need the finer sand. So we don't need a lot of it, but so they'll come over and do that. So if we wanted to make our whitest product, you know, like really, really a white concrete, we'd use, yeah, absolutely. We'd use this white rock. It's crushed, I think it's quartz. And then this is our, because you can change the color of concrete just by what sand you use. So this is about, when it's a little bit wet right now, but when it dries out, it's about as white a sand as you're gonna get. And what we'll do is we'll go in, and you get these air pockets, but we'll go in and sack it. And that's what we'll fill all these holes and make it look more like this, so it's more consistent. We actually cast this into the mold, and it's part of the product. So this is about as big a mold as you're gonna get. So what we'll do, we can only cut certain size pieces. So we'll we'll take the rhino file. We'll either, if we're gonna go straight to mold or make a master, we'll slice it up into a bunch of different pieces and then assemble it. So right now it's milling, and so it can go, this can move 4 different ways. You can see where they're cutting different pieces to the molds out of this. This is a coated plywood that you can feel how smooth and hard it is. So you can pour concrete against it and get a really good measured up. The concrete mix, the mixer is all automated. So you program the mix design. It weighs everything up, and then releases it.
Back in the day it wasn't.
No, you just have to weigh it by hand.
Talented.
Hey guys, how's it going? So Rafa is runs a crew of 5 or 6 guys. How many guys? You got 5 or 6 guys?
5.
And Rafa's worked here since he was 19. Right? Or are you 18?
No, 19.
19?
Yeah.
So yeah, we've known each other a long time. Yeah. And he and his team, they're really good craftsmen. So they're setting this mold up, and you can see they use Centra, a material called Centra. It's a polypropylene, and they tack it into the mold to create those reveals in the concrete that we saw earlier.
Oh, right. This is like that one barbecue.
Yeah. They're setting this up again. There's like 5 or 6 of them, and but they really need to look at each piece and decide how much reinforcement it needs. So these guys are doing pavers. That's pool open. Yeah, we can get a closer look. But so what happens is they come in the morning, they strip all the molds out, they pull the pieces out. They either do a etching, they etch them, or they polish them or hone them, and then they're palletized at the other end. Yeah. So you can see the.
So is this a paver or?
These are pavers. Yeah. And nice etched finish on them. This is kind of a fun shape. So you can see all the different sizes. We got this is what I would consider a hone finish, because it's, you know, so basically we're slicing off about 1/8 of an inch on the finish. He's pulling a couple that got rejected out. It's really hard to get it consistent.
Who rejected those?
Well, we have each there's a quality control person in each department. So they're looking at every piece coming off the line, and they have control over or what they accept and don't accept. So we went out, scanned the pool, got all the radiuses and everything, took the scans, created shop drawings, drew up the pieces, and then now we're making them. And we have like 13 different pools that we're doing for them.
No way.
Yeah, it's a big project. Some of them have.
How do you keep track of which one goes where?
Well, they're all labeled.
Uh-huh.
These are NR18s. That's an NR1.
And you just put that in the mold, right?
Yep. This is Pedro. Pedro runs this small products department. So he does everything from pavers to wall cap to pool coping.
Nice.
Anything that's under 150 pounds. And he runs a crew of about 25 people. Thanks, Pedro. These all are put in a container.
Whoa, those are
and
gorgeous.
Then shipped to Maui. And then
beautiful planter.
Yeah, those are going on the rooftop at the Four Seasons is doing
these
a residence. GFRC.
So can we peek inside?
Absolutely. So, you know, from a distance, they look like they're full weight, but they're only
that's the waterproofing.
That's the waterproofing agent. We want these things because they're going on a rooftop.
Yes.
We want them to be completely watertight. Okay, so the best.
What are these beautiful benches here?
Oh, okay. Those are going to the San Francisco airport.
No, wait. Inside, internal?
Internal, yeah.
Wow.
So this is the set. We already shipped the first phase. These are going to get cleaned and crated. Some of them, no, I think these just get wood slats.
Oh, yeah.
They get wood slats, yeah. Ipe wood slats, and these are the smaller version. These are going, you grew up in Culver City, but these are going to Venice High School.
Oh, cool. You guys are doing Venice. My sister went to Venice High.
Yeah. So they've got a big project going out there.
Yeah, they do. Wow, these are all more for the airport.
Yeah. So this is a timeline of events this was for our 40th anniversary and when everybody started.
Whoa.
Going back to my dad in 1959. Yeah. So there's 8 series of seat walls.
Yeah.
And so we want to.
Can you stand by one for scale?
Absolutely.
Right?
These are lifting slots, so they can move them. They also have lighting under here, strip lighting. And so what we're doing is we're setting up each section, marking it, and making sure everything is well blended. And then, you know, I don't know how many times we've mocked up this skateboard deterrent, which I think is a little bit different than what I've seen. So there's 3 different seat walls, and this
is for the Chargers Rams.
Yep, SoFi Stadium. And then the dirt is going to go right up to the top.
Oh, and then planting in the back?
Yeah.
Wow.
So, you know, you need the scale of the seat wall needs to be...
It needs to scale to the size of the stadium.
Absolutely. The stadium is just huge. So this will ship the week of March 19th, I believe.
Oh, that's
not too far off.
That's not too far.
And then we got this one goes next.
Yeah.
It's nice having the space to be able to lay everything out.
Yeah.
And then also just knowing that once it gets there, they can put it together. They don't have to worry about it, you know, because we've already pre-fit everything. Because, you know, getting this piece to transition perfectly into this piece is not an easy task. So we do tricks of the trade are design the product so it goes below grade.
Yes.
And then you can use those lifting slots, because you don't want, if you don't have those lifting slots, you got to put something in the top, and you never want to see a lifting insert or anything. So the slots are a great way to hide it. And then doing this recess, anything that fits together, we'll put that recess. So if there are some grade conditions that require you to even out that joint, you're not grinding the whole thing. You're just grinding the outside. And it makes it much easier to fit together.
So it's almost like a tolerance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're dealing with a 1/4 inch tolerance on those pieces, which isn't much when you consider how big they
I
are.
was gonna say, maybe on a small job that's a lot, but for this scale,
Yeah.